So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
yes,
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
Greetings, y'all, and welcome to Seek Things Above TV. I'm your host, Lou Ciccone. So we just had a bombshell drop in the form of an interview from Jada Pinkett Smith as she's being questioned about her new book. She's sitting down with E! News and talking about her new book. And this is what popped up as this interview unfolded. So we're going to dive right into it and discuss what happened right here. Let's go.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
Jada Pinkett Smith is revealing bombshell details about the state of her marriage to Will Smith. In new interviews, the Girls Trip star says that she has been separated from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air alum for 7 years.
In 2016, you and Will decided that you were going to live completely separate lives.
Yes.
It was not a divorce on paper,
Right.
but it was a divorce. So from the year 2016, which is 7 years ago now,
Yes.
y'all have been apart.
Yeah.
So Jada Pinkett Smith has just revealed that her and Will Smith have actually been separated since 2016. Now, this is shocking on quite a few levels because it makes you wonder why there was all this fuss about certain things, but it also explains why there was so many complicated issues going on between the two of them. Now, we're not commenting on this to look at this and sensationalize this news or to kind of bash them or look down on their marriage and the struggles that they faced. We're analyzing this because these are prominent figures in the celebrity world and they influence a lot of folks. Okay, so they influence culture, they influence a lot of folks. And we had started to hear even earlier on, like I remember a few years back, how they had an open marriage, right? So this term came about that, hey, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith have an open marriage. And what was odd about that is you started to see that being actually celebrated by some folks. Some folks were like, hey, man, that's cool. They must really be secure in what they're doing and so on and so forth. But come to find out that we see that there was a lot more to it. And we need to be able to call out these things when people want to celebrate stuff that is, number one, ungodly, and then two, just really doesn't even make any sense because that's just not marriage anymore. There's no such thing as an open marriage. That's not marriage.
Well, fans are just learning the news now. Jada confirms to Today that she and Will have been apart since 2016 and explains the reason they kept things quiet.
I guess my question is, I feel like you're a straight talker,
I am.
except you're not sometimes.
Yeah.
So why do that? Like, what was the reason?
I think just not being ready yet. Still trying to figure out between the two of us
Yeah.
how to be in partnership, right? And in regards to how do we present that to people, you know? And we hadn't figured that out.
Jada also sheds some light on what led them to part ways.
Why did the relationship fracture?
Oh, well, why it fractured, that's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think by the time we got to 2016, we were just exhausted with trying.
Now, we can't pretend to know everything that happened between the two of them. Marriages are very complicated. There are things that happen that it's only the two people involved that know about. So all we can comment about is what we see on the outside. And what we have seen very publicly, because they live their lives in this public way, is there have been issues with infidelity, right? And the whole entanglement situation. And then we start to see what seems to be like the outworkings of the frustration of Will Smith being publicly displayed, even in the whole Oscar situation, which they're going to comment on in a second. But yes, it seems like there is a lot of things, both what we can see publicly and whatever they know behind the scenes, that have caused them to reach this point.
I think we were both kind of still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be.
And while Jada admits that she's considered divorce, she ultimately decided not to file the official legal paperwork.
I made a promise that there will never be a reason for us to get a divorce. We will work through whatever. And I just haven't been able to break that promise.
But you still live separately.
We live separately.
After mentioning that the two are working through their issues, Jada indicates that they are still navigating their relationship. The 52-year-old also tells People in a profile published on October 11th, quote, "We're still figuring it out. We've been doing some really heavy-duty work together."
All right, y'all. So this is confusing, man. This is confusing on a few levels, man, because on one hand, she's saying, okay, clearly they're not together. But then on the other hand, she doesn't want to actually file for divorce, right? They don't want to file for divorce. So it's like they're in this limbo. And I'm going to say straight out the bat that, for me, as a Christian, I would want to push for couples to reconcile, to forgive one another, and to find a way to restore the marriage and for that marriage to thrive. And I want to be careful what I say here, but it's just confusing that you're not living together and then you're still calling it marriage. And then you're sort of doing this for an extended period of time. And then you're inviting other things into your lives, other people, through these, the entanglement situation and what have you. So to live this charade that you're married for 7 years, it must be, number one, exhausting. And then number two, it's damaging psychologically, and even for the sake of their children. It seems very delusional to me that you would actually do this for that long without actually calling it what it is. And again, I'm not advocating for divorce, but for all intents and purposes, you living separate lives for 7 years, that is divorce already.
We just got deep love for each other, and we are going to figure out what that looks like for us. Jada and Will had already been separated for 6 years the night of the 2022 Oscars, where he won the Best Actor trophy for his lead role in King Richard, and slapped Chris Rock on stage after the comedian made a joke about Jada's shaved head. Jada tells People her reaction to the shocking moment, saying, quote, "I thought, this is a skit. I was like, there's no way that Will hit him. It wasn't until Will started to walk back to his chair that I even realized it wasn't a skit."
So that just shows you how much of an overreaction. I mean, we all know that was a massive overreaction that we saw from Will Smith, but we see that even as far as Jada Pinkett Smith, she wasn't even trying to have him do that in that way. Like, she wasn't co-signing. She didn't need that whole protecting of the family that he talked about later, that this is why he did it. He felt like he needed to protect her. There was more to that, and we're going to get into that shortly.
Jada and Will tied the knot in 1997 following his divorce from Cherie Zampino, with whom he shares 30-year-old son Trey Smith. The couple, who share kids Jaden Smith and Willow Smith, have made headlines as they've gone through ups and downs in their relationship over the years, including what Jada called in 2020 her entanglement with August Alsina.
Yeah, no need to belabor that point. We all know what happened. We all know how publicly that was very embarrassing for Will Smith, I'm sure. But, and man, the ways in which people commented on it and the ways in which it revealed how toxic their relationship really was. So I'll leave the link in the description for y'all for this video, man. Y'all can finish that up and see what happened. But the point is, this is what came out. This is the news that they've been separated since 2016. We're hearing all this stuff coming out. Relationships are complicated, right? Relationships are definitely complicated. Love is complicated. Marriages are complicated at times. We all know that. But this just seemed like a charade. And I want to say, from a Christian point of view, man, I'm looking at this and saying, look, this is a result of trying to do things your way, and not God's way, right? Marriage is God's idea. And if you try to invent your own kind of hybrid of what marriage is going to be, where it's like, no, we don't live together, we're not in the same house, but we are married on paper for 7 years, and you're leaving the door wide open, you are actually disturbing and messing with the exclusivity and the sanctity of marriage, like the beauty of the exclusivity of a man and a woman being together in a covenant to love one another and to do that through the good and the bad, till death do them part. You are messing with that when you open the door and start to redefine what that is. And clearly, that's something that they try to do. And very unfortunate, because we see the wreckage that has left behind. And I would also almost want to say that this is why you see a little bit of strange behavior from the children as well, from Willow and from Jaden in particular, man, where it's like we see a little bit of strange stuff going on. And I know the culture is, there's a lot of cultural trends that are cool and whatnot, but we see them becoming part of certain things that, in my estimation, it's like, man, these kids are trying to figure things out, trying to live their lives, but they know that things ain't right at home. And that's a heavy burden for children to have to deal with. Now, as I was saying earlier, that we're going to get back to this whole thing about Chris Rock and the slap, right? So this news also came out, which is that Jada Pinkett Smith, in an interview at People, revealed that Chris Rock tried to shoot his shot one summer amid divorce rumors with Will Smith. He called me and basically he was like, "I'd like to take you out." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Well, aren't you and Will getting a divorce?" I was like, "No, Chris, those are just rumors." He was appalled and he profusely apologized, and that was that. So Chris Rock apparently had tried to, as they say, shoot his shot, and that she shut him down, and that was it. It ended, so on and so forth. But how likely, especially with the relationship they have, I guess they must have talked about this at some point. I'm sure that this probably popped up. And so Will Smith is probably sitting there on his, after getting his award, and this was actually before he got the award. The whole situation happened, and he hears the insult that he thinks is an insult. It's a big deal. He sees Jada's displeased, and he's like, on top of that, in his mind, he's thinking, on top of that, this dude tried to holler at my wife, right? And so there's all these emotions going on, and this is what happens. It results in the slap, right? So I think this contributed to that, and we didn't even know all this time that there was this backstory or inside story of the whole slap situation. So all this seems to be taking place after her book came out. It looks like the interviewers and people who've been talking to her have already read the book. The book is titled Worthy, and as the date of this recording, the book is not out yet, but it's about to come out. And yeah, one can't help to think, man, is this also marketing for the book? I would hate to think that she would go to that level to market the book and, kind of drop these interviews. I mean, it's definitely part of the promotion. Definitely part of the promotion. She's going to talk about her book, but I'm sure they knew that these juicy bits are the ones that the press are going to gravitate towards and want to ask her about. Jada's reputation is definitely tarnished at this point. She is seen as an evil woman. She's seen as a terrible wife. She has a bad reputation, and I think a lot of it is justified because of the things that come out that we hear. And this is information that she volunteers herself. I mean, they had the Table Talk show, forget what it's called, Red Table Talk show, the Facebook show, and stuff would just come out. They would just be talking about stuff. I mean, I remember the one where she's sitting there with Will Smith, and they're talking about all these, these things live on camera. And that's another thing. You don't have to live your life so publicly live on camera. Some of these things, you need to work these things out quietly. But all these things are coming out. Why are you even sharing this stuff with the world? Sort this thing out quietly, please. Protect your family. Think about your children. But yeah, this is just not it. But this is a result of when people try to do things their own way and not God's way. And we see the wreckage that leaves behind. And it is very sad. I honestly, man, you gotta like pray for this couple. Pray for them that they can figure this out. Ultimately, man, I'm praying that they know Jesus. That's what I'm really praying for, that they would know Jesus, because with transformed hearts, they have a way to forgive one another, reconcile, and to hopefully move forward as husband and wife. But I'm gonna leave that right there. And let me know y'all's thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this news that has just come out? Love to hear your thoughts, man. So if you like this kind of content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. All right? God bless y'all, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.